The following podcast contains adult themes and adult language. Listener discretion advised.
And although we joke, if you or someone you know is affected by or a victim of domestic violence, dial 1-800-799-7233 or visit the National Domestic Violence Hotline's website, thehotline.org.
But it's always the husband, it's always the husband, it's always the husband. I'm gonna keep it.
Hi, this is Sarah.
And this is Megan.
You're listening to It's Always the Husband podcast.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot for listening. Yeah.
That's all you can do is
I guess that's all I
use your
can
ears
do.
and listen.
Sure.
We would never allow anyone to see our hideous faces. This is a true crime podcast.
I know, even though we have a camera there.
We do, but we've never...
Well, I have to get those mics again, but they...
Oh, I never want you to get them. But I feel like if we're going to videotape ourselves, we should do it like on that show that I loved with Adam Brody, Nobody Wants This, where they like set it up so they were sitting next to each other on a couch.
We'd have to set up.
Yeah,
we
we'd
could
have
put a
to
little
set up
couch,
different.
cute couches in here
Yeah,
maybe next.
yeah. And then we can start taping ourselves.
Yeah, we could do that. Get two cute chairs.
Yeah.
And then a table and hook these to an end table.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll try
but
that.
still have Burt Reynolds on a bear rug right in between us.
That can be behind like a bookshelf.
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we'll try that this summer. I don't know.
Okay. This summer. That's a goal.
But then we'd have to
make money.
No. I mean, we're never going to do that. But look nice.
Oh, yeah, we will. We can't wear our pajamas and go braless.
I know. We'll have to debate.
All right. Well, we'll make a pro and con list.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in and listening. This is a true crime podcast, also comedy and humor. If you don't like our witty banter before the murder,
it's called Fast Forward.
Fast forward or fuck you.
Yeah.
How was your week, Sarah? Usually our weeks are so shitty. We need to look for something glittery.
Facebook funny.
Oh,
and my glitter.
And your glitter, it's all in one.
It's the Harrington marrieds, specifically Zach Harrington, they've supported us since day one.
And they met us. We met them at the dive bar.
Yes. They came to listen to us when we were there live.
Yeah.
When I had a
panic attack?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that bar called? Why can't I remember it now?
It's called it'll come to us.
Bar that Cassie and Cam used to make out at.
Well, gross. What don't they make out at? Anyway, Zach got a tattoo about our podcast, and it's a deodorant, but with our podcast design on it.
It was.
And it's funny and it's cute.
It's a deodorant.
Yes, it's a deodorant.
Yeah.
And it has all sorts of like our logo on it, and then funny things on it. Oh my! And I thought I have 7 tattoos, and I don't even have a tattoo.
I know.
And I thought, why don't I? That just made my whole everything.
I got goosebumps and screamed in my kitchen.
I screamed too.
Yeah.
And I just thought that like made my everything.
And then
it did. I was like on a real just.
You were on a high.
I was.
That
I was
never
dragging
happens to you.
ass.
Yeah.
And that made my whole just 2025
Zach,
so far.
you made Sarah.
It made me happy. And I don't have that emotion often.
No.
That made me happy. And I don't feel happiness. So Zach, you made me happy. And that is a tough one for me.
So you are all in one.
Yes.
Facebook and glitter.
He's my everything.
You are Sarah's everything this week. Thank you, Zach.
Yes.
And you made your mother proud too, who's also a listener.
Yes.
And she said, once again, how proud she is of your 3 billion tattoos, but this one's her favorite.
I know, and it's cool.
It is so cool.
Yes.
Corpse scent.
It is. What else
Deodorant.
other scent would it be?
That's it.
That's what I need for when the deodorants hang out in front of my door. The
Corpse
older
spray?
deodorants hang out right in front of my door, so my deodorants can't get in the room. And I was thinking of getting either a fart spray to spray there. I have a horn, like a fog horn that goes that often I will do that, and they scatter.
You also have the fart machine.
I have a fart
You could
machine, but it's not
plant
loud
that.
enough.
It's not loud enough.
As the foghorn thing. But I think maybe the fart spray or
Foghorn,
a corpse
leghorn.
spray would be good.
Corpse spray would be so good.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, well, my glitter in the shitter, I finally
The CC Club. Oh my God.
the CC Club. God, I couldn't think of it.
I know.
Thanks
We're
for
dumber than
remembering
shit.
it. Now I see why people hate our what we call witty banter
I know.
because we're just fucking all over the place. So I went to a store that I call Grandma Schuler Shoes, which is a shoe store for, one would say, the
My God.
orthopedic
That's
challenged.
what Sophia Petrillo would go
She
to.
would go
like
there.
from 1950, where you go and like the person bends down
They
and
do.
tries on your shoe, and
They
it's-
do.
and it is like the nursing
They
shoes.
use shoe horns to
to
put your shoe into the shoe. They tie it for you.
and you need to put on those rotten socks.
I did
store
it.
socks.
But so I have a bunion,
Well, I had bunion surgery. Just
I know.
deal with it.
but
I
it
had
was
to
really
be in a
hurting.
wheelchair at age 20 and go to Brookdale in a wheelchair.
I know we've talked about the bunion, but it was really getting hard, and I run around
so
a
you're
lot.
gonna wear Frankenstein shoes?
No, Sarah, I bought.
What? You're gonna wear fake nursing Frankenstein shoes?
I bought a pair of white leather grandma shoes with just 4 eyelets for the laces, and just like my 100-year-old grandma used to wear. And damn it, I'm proud of it. No, bitch, I bought some Hokas.
Oh, okay. You're wearing these old folks out. No, those are good. Okay. Those are cute.
I wore them
Okay.
today for the first time
Are you
all
having them on?
day. Yeah.
Oh.
And
Cute.
I was even
I have
afraid-
them in my living room.
You have
They're there.
Hokas?
Yes, they're right over
Oh.
in there.
why didn't you tell me about how good they made
Yeah.
your feet feel?
I have them by my treadmill when I.
Oh, you
quote,
just wear
unquote,
'em
run.
when you run.
Yeah.
Oh, and so he told me, I have what do you call them?
Rachel
like an
got them for her
insert?
a job perk once.
Yeah.
Her boss
Really?
bought them for everybody.
Yeah, they're really
Cute pink
nice.
ones.
Yeah. I mean, if you're on your feet all the time like we are,
Just picturing you getting like
Oh my
these
God.
loafers.
no, I want to find a pair of grandma shoes and let's tell everyone that's what I got. Oh God, they're like naturalizer. Dr. Scholl's
Yes.
white
Oh.
leather grandma shoes.
Oh no, those are cute. No, they're super comfortable.
My pewter isn't working in
Oh,
here.
no.
What's happening?
Well, because they're pure shit.
Okay. So anyway, I liked that. And I also,
No, those are good.
my Facebook funny was Carrie Martin, who put those dumbass people, those neighbors that were getting divorced and tried to solicit everyone in the neighborhood to come and pork them.
That's very
They
much
sent out a letter.
unfortunate.
And they put their pictures, and their names were Darlene and Tom.
Darlene and Tom, good try, but
And they put, I don't know why Tom, he was living in in towels.
a van?
No, towels. The issue began last summer with a
he's just
big
wearing a
pile
towel?
of towels. No, he's hiding in them. He's laying in a
Oh.
big pile of towels.
Is he differently abled?
Yeah, Tom made in the backyard. Tom went inside the big pile whenever he was stressed. However, as Tom spent more and more time in the big pile of towels, he once spent 48 hours, Darlene's intimate needs were not being met. She would seek other men to fool with, causing even more stress for
Her
Tom.
husband just went inside a pile of towels.
It was a
and lived in there for days.
cycle.
If Jamie just went into a pile of towels for 2 days
Yeah.
and didn't go to work or do shit, I'd be like, what? Why are you going into towels?
And-
a pile of towels. Get up.
And then Darlene.
Go to work. What are you doing?
Darlene put a quote on there next to her
Towels?
picture. Yeah. And she said, I thought I was marrying a strong man of decisions, not a coward who lives in towels.
Lives in towels? No, this is a mentally ill fellow. This is a bigger problem than just he needs some help. This
Then
is called mental illness.
Tom's quote was, I understand.
Well, Tom, you need some help, Tom.
So then
You don't live in towels. You go get help, Tom.
well, they're trying. This is how they're trying.
Tom, the towels aren't helping you.
The slightest stress would have him rushing to the pile. After many hard talks,
Tom.
we've decided to terminate our marriage agreement. However, we will both still be residing at, and then they crossed it up, street, and having relations with each other until we find new partners.
No.
They spoke to Father Donovan, and he says this is fine.
Father Donovan, you don't know your head from your ass. That's not fine.
And then this is the best part. Have you ever had feelings for one of us? Now is the time to act.
The jackass hiding in the towels,
Please.
and the weirdo
Yeah.
accepting it, and
Please.
Father Donovan, who
He's blessing it.
Something's we're not right.
Please fill out the form
Who's
below.
cutting their grass?
Then it says, which one do you want? Tom, this is a checkbox. Darlene, or still deciding?
No.
And then you can put your income level, your name, and you can also put your lover's style.
Oh, no.
What?
This was in their people mailbox?
Yeah, it
in the
says,
neighborhood?
hello, neighbor.
Oh, no. I would go take a huge dump on their yard. How embarrassing. So you learn that the man hides in towels, that they're swingers, that they're both weird as fuck, that they have a priest that's weird as fuck, and that this is too much.
So this is what our listeners say. Cindy Rizzo says, I'm thinking living in a pile of towels may be relaxing.
I feel like the towels need to be clean towels.
And then Nicole Rensick said, it never even crossed my mind to live in a pile of laundry. I'm always nagging my family about maybe that's where I'm going wrong. And then Caitlin Wetzel just wants to know, who are you choosing? Which one would you choose, Sarah? Darlene, Tom?
I'd have to choose Tom because Darlene putting up with Tom, there's something more wrong with Darlene than Tom.
You would choose Tom in the towels.
Yes, because Darlene accepting Tom all this years, I feel there's more wrong with Darlene.
You do? Okay.
I'd go with the priest. I don't understand.
So that's my favorite post. I spent a long time.
Do you know that our
just
town is a
reading
big
it?
swinger town?
The town we live in?
Yes.
Really?
And I showed you that swinger house. It's right next to Charlie's. When we were, this whole town is a swinger town.
Well, how come no one's invited us?
Well, we don't want to be invited.
Well, everyone hates Phil. That's why. Number one.
Yes. But
Number
it's a
two,
large
I would
swinger
never let
town.
anyone touch his hot body except me. I would kill.
Well,
so maybe that's why. Also not interested. But all I've been listening to on my podcasts are swinger stories now. I listened to that whole Dateline. And then
that was a rough one.
the one that came after that was
Yes.
also about a love triangle. That was
Oh.
just the regular episode for this week. I can't
Oh,
remember
I didn't
what it
listen
was
to that
called.
one yet.
But it's been a lot.
Oh my goodness.
No one's really faithful.
And then I just wanted to mention Linda Dunham. She upped her membership in Patreon, and I believe she is now a Momoa. So I was going to give her a little Momoa shout out.
What's he going to say?
For her effort.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Linda. Here's Jason Momoa.
Let's see.
Permission to come aboard.
He has a...
Way with words?
He does. And a way with penises. I'm sure. Except now he has a young, beautiful girlfriend.
Yeah, who is that?
What's her name? It's something A. She has an A word first name and an A word last name. And she's very beautiful.
Who is Jason Momoa's girlfriend?
I forget, but I know it's an A, and that's another A.
Adria Arjona.
That's it. And I'm sure she's a lovely person.
She's an actress. What the hell is she in?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Anyway, should we start our our shit show?
We watched a new show.
I don't think we've watched this one, or maybe we have.
I don't
know.
remember this one at all. But I sure got a couple good
This one
laughs
is terrible.
out of it.
This whole story was terrible. Everything was terrible.
It's so
Everything
dumb.
was terrible.
Yeah, and the acting was
Horrible.
Woo! I loved the hairdo though. Let's talk about it.
So the show was called Forbidden,
Mm-hmm.
Dying for Love.
Yeah.
And we watched season 2, episode 2 called Sex and the Married Man, which is every episode, I'm sure, Forbidden, Dying for Love. So we're going to Elk Ridge, Maryland, which reminded me of Elk Snout.
Me too. All I was thinking
Elk
of, I like when she goes bah.
So it wasn't Elk Snout. It was Elk Ridge, Maryland. We're in April 1992. So I was a junior in high school, and I'm sure looking attractive.
You were.
No.
I was a sophomore.
Oh, God. If only I could do it again and make better choices. Man.
I feel like I didn't even have boobs in 1992 yet. Did
Oh,
I?
geez, I had huge cans.
Of course you did. Mine were slow to develop and fast to say.
How did you get all those ditch boyfriends, those pork ditch?
I don't know. I went from young and the breastless to
pork ditch.
working in the ditch to now literally take a spatula and just kind of prop
them up or scoop them off.
Scoop them off. Yeah.
The floor and quick put them in the bra.
I tried on some swimsuits yesterday with my, because I'm going on spring break,
That's
which
right.
we'll talk about later. But I was with my nieces and my daughter, and I was trying them on, and they were hysterically laughing at the flatness of my boobs. Like anything that has any sort of like a V neck or whatever, I would put it on, and they're like, nope. Because all you can see is just how flat.
No.
My boob. Yes. And you just see the flat boob fold. There's nothing perky about it. There's nothing. I need new boobs.
Can you fold it up and glue the nipple, fold it up and glue the nipple up at the top?
I mean, but then you would be able to see my nipple. So I think if I folded it under, if I could tuck it under, that looks better because there's a little lift then.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't stay. It's a very heavy boob. But anyway, I digress.
Okay, so anyway, we're in April 1992, and we know this because we see 14-year-old Amy Cole.
Can you say how old she was again?
14. And I believe in real life she maybe was 13, I think, when I read a thing
She was
out of out of story. She was 13 maybe, but she's 14 in this. And we know it's 1992 again because she has a Walkman in her hand.
Yeah, she does.
And I thought, were there Walkmans with the fuzzy small headphones? And I thought, yes, because I would rollerblade.
Yes.
And have a Walkman with
Same.
the tape with the fuzzy headphones.
Yeah.
And I would be a junior and I would rollerblade 14 miles a day in the summers. And I thought, I was in shape then.
I mean, I lived on a gravel road.
Yes, I know. I lived in a town, so I could do those
couldn't
things.
really. You're lucky.
You could have run like Rocky and just run into town.
Imagine me running.
And went, hey-oh, and then they throw like an orange at you and you go by all the vendors.
There's a guy
in Tremont.
Yeah, there's one vendor. There was a guy in Tremont named Hoorah, and he rode a moped. He would have probably passed me 1,000 times, and you just wave at him, say hi, Hoorah. Yeah. He was kind of the town eccentric.
He could have had a Walkman too.
There was no Hoorah in Elk Ridge.
Amy Cole had the Walkman, and she had a backpack because she was a child in school, probably middle school.
Yeah.
And she was walking to do her babysitting job for 34-year-old Nancy Riggens. I also, I babysat for my teacher in high school, all through high school, my math teacher.
Really?
And he was my advisory teacher.
I can't imagine you babysitting.
I did a lot of babysitting.
Really?
I did. I nannied for this teacher for a long ass time.
I feel like
constantly. I was there all the time. And then I babysat all the damn time since I was 9 for the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
All the time. Made like $1 an hour.
You seem more like a Dairy Queen girl.
No, I didn't have any job like that. I just babysat.
Okay.
And I didn't care for children, but I did it all the time.
That's what I was saying.
I did not care for children. But I liked babies.
Yeah. Well, babies are cute.
So anyway, Amy's walking to her babysitting job, and she's walking a long ass way for the house across the street because they show her walking and walking and walking, but the house is across the street.
Literally.
Yep. So 34-year-old Nancy Riggens lives across the street, and she has a truck driving husband named Steve. And she has a 1-year-old daughter named Amanda. And Steve, the actor Steve, he has a perm that's mullety, but old lady perm. Like the old lady you would get kind of in an old folks' home.
I just got real Tom Selleck vibes from it.
And then a real porny stash, but then real Alfred E. Newman, Mad Magazine.
He had freckles. But he didn't have red hair.
No red hair, but he looked like Alfred E. Newman as an adult.
With curly hair and
Tom
mustache.
Selleck.
Yeah. He's a poor, I mean, he's no Tom Selleck.
No, he's a poor man's version.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there was a really shitty porn Magnum P.I.,
I thought
this would be it.
Yeah, I thought for a second the producers or whatever had the wrong decade because I was like, that's more of an early 80s look. But then I found pictures of the real Steve, and he did in fact have shitty hair like that in the 90s.
And a shitty stash.
And shitty white, or black, I guess, the very scoop neck tank tops.
Oh, geez. Yeah, he liked to wear the wife beater.
Yeah.
Which is an unfortunate name for a T-shirt, but I think it is now the appropriate name for those tank tops is wife beater.
And then he would wear just like a button-down open short sleeve shirt over it. It was very unattractive.
No. And then the actor playing Nancy continually always wore a penny like she was going to play big bass in gym.
What is that?
Like a penny. You wear a penny, like a colored penny, like your reds.
It's like a vest that you put over?
It's like a parachute fabric, and you wear it like your greens and your reds, and we're going to play big bass or
what is
touch
big
foot
bass?
where you put the gym mats down, and that's a bass.
Like mat ball?
Well, then you kick the ball,
Yeah.
and then you run, and you put them in the corners of the gym. Did you
Oh,
ever
I
play
thought-
big base?
I thought it was called mat. We called
No,
it mat
it's
ball.
big base because it's a big base.
I've never heard
That's what we
that.
called it.
Okay. We
Um,
called it mat ball.
Well,
It's a
same.
big base.
So she was on the green team because she wore a green penny the whole time. But
Okay.
apparently they were green pennies because she worked at the grocery store, and it was green penny grocery store.
All right.
Green penny. So that was meant she was going to the grocery store.
Okay.
She was playing
That
big
was-
base mat ball.
That was for the viewers to
Yes,
know she
that
was going
to the grocery store. She wore the
Okay.
penny. So we know. So the first thing we see is Nancy and Steve looking into their nursery of their 1-year-old. Except there's drawings, child drawings all over the wall.
She was gifted artist at 1.
Exactly. So I thought I was confused. Who is the child drawing on the wall? 'Cause
Yeah.
it can't be the 1-year-old.
No.
And then I thought, who is the other child? But then I'm like, this is a
None
whole second
other.
storyline
Yeah.
that I'm getting into.
You
and
made
this
it
is
all
beyond.
up.
This
Yeah.
is beyond what I need to care about.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Nancy's very upset. You know, Steve is starting to get fresh. He's like kissing Nancy on the neck and like touching her boob and trying to get real fresh. And Nancy
Yeah.
says, "Stop." And Steve is like, "What's wrong?" And Nancy has her penny on. She's going to work. She doesn't want to pork right now. And Nancy's also very upset because she's going to work, apparently, maybe for the first time, leaving her child alone. And for a mom, that's very hard when you leave your baby and go to work, especially for the first time.
I mean,
It's
I
very, very hard.
ran out the front door.
Some do that.
And
yes.
I was like, "Bye. I love you, but I got to get out of this fucking house."
And Nancy, though, was begging Steve to get extra shifts truck driving. And he said, "Everybody wants extra shifts. I can't get no extra shift." But Amy's still walking across the street this whole time to get to her babysitting job. And finally, she arrives.
2 hours later
yes.
and 10 steps later,
And
she
yes.
was there.
And Nancy loves Amy because she knows Amy's family. Amy wants to work all the time. You know, she'll work, she'll come over and babysit and help her out. And Amy's a cute, young girl and very friendly. So they hear the doorbell ring, and Nancy tells Steve, who is wearing his wife beater, she says, "Go put a shirt on." And he does. He puts a shirt on. Because he was wearing the wife beater.
Yeah.
And Nancy, though, is just like a young 30s, but the actress does look 48.
Yes.
So Nancy has Amy come in. She gives Amy a War and Peace novel to care for the baby. Like some people do. Like every single scenario that could happen, this is who you call, what you do. And Amy's like, I get it. Yes. I'm just going to seriously just put her in her crib.
She probably went to the babysitting class at the
She knows what to
community
do.
ed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you get the egg and you try to keep the
100%.
egg
Yeah.
alive for
She
a
did
week.
that in 7th grade.
Yep.
She's ready.
So Nancy returns from Penny grocery store, and Amy said everything went totally fine, and Amanda is sleeping just fine. And so Nancy's very happy. Amy did a great job, and so Amy starts babysitting a whole lot for the next 3 months, and she even starts hanging out even when Nancy's there because Amy becomes like a part of the family. And so they show Nancy in the backyard kind of sitting on a lawn chair, and maybe baby Amanda is there. We don't really see her, but maybe she's in a bassinet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the baby was really never around.
Never seen.
No.
And then for some reason, Amy is there in like a little tiny shorts and a little tiny tank top and she's jumping through the sprinkler.
Yeah, 'cause she's a baby.
Yep, and talking
She's still a
talking to
baby.
Nancy, and they're
Yep.
having fun.
Yep.
And then Steve comes home from his truck driving job, and he comes into the backyard and he leans up against the house, and you see a zoom in on Amy slowly Baywatch jumping through the sprinkler.
He gives
Again, this is
her
a 14-year-old
the ugliest
girl.
eye you've ever seen.
Yep. And then you zoom in again on Steve, who is a fully freckled Tom Selleck grade F porn lookalike,
Great.
drooling over a 14-year-old playing jumping through a sprinkler. Again, slow-mo, and it goes back and forth where you're like, oh, and then you see where this is going.
Yeah.
And you say, gross.
Yep.
So even Amy looks over and sees this Tom Selleck shitbag
You vomit a little
staring
bit.
at her, and she grabs a towel and wraps it around her clothes.
Yeah,
That's
she
how
didn't
gross
like
she feels.
it. Yeah.
And so Nancy pops up and is like, "Oh, Steve, you're home now." And then she's like, whatever she says, "Do you have some money?"
Why was she so happy to see him?
I don't know,
Steve
because he's gross as
sucked.
fuck.
Yeah.
He's dumb.
Yeah.
He stinks probably.
And he was ugly clothes.
yeah, and he's just fucked.
Yeah.
And then Steve's like, "What?" And she's like, Can you pay Amy?" And he goes, "Yeah."
Ew.
And so then Nancy goes in to maybe check on Amanda, whatever. And so Steve walks up to Amy, and Amy still has like a towel wrapped around her clothes.
Amy should run for the
Yes,
hills.
she should have. But like when you're 14, you don't know what to do.
No.
And he says, "Are you going to stay for dinner?" And Amy says, "No, Mr. Riggens." And Steve says, "Mr. Riggens, that makes me feel old." Like a pervert. And then he gives Amy like a bunch of money. And Amy says, "This
That's
is
too
too
much."
much. And Steve says, "No, you have beautiful eyes."
Gross, Steve.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, I don't." And you see she has a big ass retainer.
She
and you just,
did.
and you're just like, "This is a child."
It was just like
and
when
he has a huge pointy boner.
Yes, and she literally they took like the twist tie off of a bread,
Yes.
took the like
the metal
paper
out
off of
Yeah.
it, took the metal out, and just made this actress like shove it in her mouth. That's what I
Yes.
used to do when I was younger.
Yeah. Oh, to pretend you had a
I'd
retainer.
pretend I had braces. Yeah,
I had actual braces and headgear. So
I
and
did
rubber
eventually,
bands.
but I wanted to be Daisy Duke with
Oh.
braces, I guess. So that was how I used
Did you want to have the full headgear?
to. I didn't.
Oh, you didn't want the joy of the full headgear?
I didn't.
Shit.
No.
So then the next scene, Amy is walking again the 22 miles to the Riggens house. Like the whole Lord of the Rings walk she has to do 3
She
movies
went.
worth.
She went to
Yeah.
the Hobbit
Yes.
villages. Where do they live? In the caves? What
Well,
is
they
the
lived in the
Hobbit?
Shire,
hole.
and then they had
Yeah.
to walk through the whole
Yeah.
damn 3 movies worth to get to the whole
They did. I mean,
whatever Mordor.
She
Mordor.
could see. She could see the door of the Riggens house
from
It
her home,
just
but it took
took her
16 years.
Yeah.
So then she knocks on the door, and Steve lets her in. And Amy says, "Is Nancy here?" And Steve says, "You just missed her." And she says, "Well, her car is here." And he says, "She got a ride from someone else to work."
Down to the grocery store.
And she said, "Well, I was just wanted to know if she needed help today with Amanda." And Steve said, "Oh, she's asleep."
He's
And
like,
Amy
"Oh,
says,
no."
"Okay, I'll go." Steve then blocks her from leaving from the door. If I was
Yeah.
14 and a grown ass 37 or something year old man did that to me, I would piss myself.
Right.
I would be so scared. I probably would pee and poop in my pants.
Right.
Like I wouldn't know what to do. I
Right.
would like think I'm going to be attacked.
Yeah.
And I would void my bowels. Of course,
Yeah.
like I said, all pedophiles and men just said, let's just be friends. This was not my situation. Poor Amy, though.
Once again, if it was Steve Riggens or the bear, you would pick
I would
the
pick
bear
the bear
100 times. Yeah.
Steve goes, you just got here. Why don't you talk to me? How's school? As if she wants to talk about ass school with this pervert.
No.
Yeah, I want to talk about math with you. And I want to talk about that I'm learning about Helen Keller in school with you, or reading whatever.
We're going to
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. We're going to dissect a worm tomorrow.
My God. And then he says, how old are you, Amy? And she goes, I just turned 14. And then he says, girls didn't look like you when I was 14. And you know he has a tiny boner.
Mm-hmm. She probably didn't even see it.
No, you can't see it unless you get your huge ass telescope.
Yeah.
You need one of those telescopes that they have in Costa Rica up in the mountains. And then he says, you're really beautiful. And she goes, I'm not.
I know. She goes, no, I'm not.
And then he moves
Okay.
closer and closer and touches her. Here's again where I would void my bowels. I would be so nervous. And she's like, I should get going. And then he says, I really want to kiss you. This is so uncomfortably gross because she is a child teenager.
Yeah.
And then he says, don't be scared. Anyone ever kissed you before? And she goes, no.
She said no.
And so then he kisses her, but then she pushes him away, takes out her retainer, and kisses him again.
No, I'm laughing.
Oh, it was so gross. But the worst part is then he grabs her hand and says, come with me, and takes her upstairs.
No.
So you know he goes upstairs and just rapes her.
Yes, and she had just turned 14.
Yes. This is so horrible.
Disgusting. We probably should have said trigger
warning. But at the beginning, obviously, we should have.
Sorry, we better put that in
we
the
should put it in at the beginning
because
this is so gross.
it's really bad. And her first kiss was with a horrible Tom Selleck imposter.
I mean, a horrible one, a horrible one that trapped her and just did it so
Groomed her,
fast.
yeah.
Did it so fast that she didn't have any chance to
Oh God,
respond any other way.
no.
And I'm sure it wasn't like this. I'm sure he groomed her over a longer time. I'm hoping. Otherwise, this is like serious. Just,
Rape.
I mean, it still is
Yeah.
horrible rape.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next scene is Amy carrying a lunch, and it's 3 years later. So their affair is lasting 3 years. She's now 17. They're meeting in the middle of nowhere.
It's still disgusting.
It's still disgusting. She's bringing him a lunch. And so they meet. It's 1995. They meet. She brings him a lunch, and they pork in his car in the middle of nowhere. So as they're trying to attempt to pork, she stops it and says, I have news. I'm going to college. And he gets super angry, super mad. And he says, you're not going to go. Well, and Amy says, well, you have a wife.
Yeah, she's like, hang out with your wife
Yeah.
once in a while.
And then he grabs her and he starts like grabbing her and hurting her. And he tells her like, you're not going to go. And then she's like, well, then she mentions his wife again. He's like, if you tell anyone about us or whatever, you know, I'm going to do something crazy. And then Amy says, oh, I'm not, I swear. And then he gets in his car and kicks her out of the car and just
he goes,
leaves.
walk home.
And tells her to walk home. And she's like, what the hell? And so it gets to be.
And then
yeah.
home, she couldn't even see her home. So
No,
it took
it
her
was-
like, oh my
mean,
God.
this was
17
This
years.
was like Lawrence
maybe
of
to get home?
Arabia walking home. So then it's September 1995, and we see Steve like pocket pooling in his car, watching Amy get in her car in her yard going to college.
Yeah.
And then Nancy goes up to Steve in his car pocket pooling and says, Steve, what the hell are you doing in your car? And then he's like, God damn it, Nancy. And he gets out of the car and goes in the house.
Yeah.
And then the narrator says, for the last few weeks, Steve and Nancy have been fighting constantly. Well, I think it's been more than the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So Nancy doesn't know what's been going on with Steve. Well, for the last several years, I don't think she's been knowing what's going on with Steve.
I mean,
he's been being a pedophile pervert.
Yeah.
A huge pervert. And so this is where we get some tension. We get a tense Steven Spielberg directing cut. Steve goes inside the house and he's up jerking off something in the bedroom, looking for something. And quick as lightning, Nancy goes in his car and she's shuffling around looking in like she's looking in the all over glove compartment, underneath the seats, between the seats, quick, while he's upstairs and trying to search for something. And he's upstairs like, have you seen my keys? Have you seen my keys? And he's calling for her and almost seeing her look in his car as she's reaching and her fingers are almost getting to Amy's retainer that's right underneath the seats, her stinky ass retainer. But God. She misses it. And right when Steve goes outside to go ask her where her retainer is, Nancy's standing there with his key. Or he asks where his keys is. Nancy's like standing there with his keys. Yeah. Your keys are right here. So he doesn't see her snooping. Just tension. So then we get to June 1996, and Amy is home for the summer, and she's 18.
Yeah.
So Steve is so happy finally, but unfortunately, Amy has to break the news to Steve that she has a boyfriend from college that's her appropriate age.
Correct.
And Steve then grabs Amy again, threatens her again, yelling at her again, hurting her again. This is where Nancy comes out and is like, oh, hi, Amy, and notices there's tension. Amy uses this time to kind of run off, and then Steve's all mad again. We go to another scene where Amy is walking in the woods with her college-appropriate boyfriend, Mike. But then all of a sudden, Steve runs up out of nowhere like a psycho in some sort of sweatshirt and pushes down Mike and punches the shit out of him. And Mike is like, jeez. And then Amy is like, oh my God, I'm going to call the cops, you crazy bastard. And Steve just then goes home. I'm like, this is very psychotic. You should have called the cops. Yeah. Because this is very not normal. And Mike should have called the cops. You're walking with your girlfriend and some old ass man comes and pushes you down and punches you right in the face. Right. That's not normal. You should have said, what in the hell is going on? Who is that old guy? What's the situation? But that didn't happen. So Steve comes home.
It's like people didn't have eyes.
No.
People weren't using their special eyes.
They had other stuff to do.
To see what was really going on.
So Steve comes home. He slams the front ass door. Nancy's in her penny again. And she is playing with Amanda in the living room. Steve runs through the living room, stomps through the living room, grabs a beer, goes outside, and is chugging this beer. So Nancy goes outside, and she's like, what in the hell is going on? Right. And he's guzzling the beer. And it's like noon. And for some reason, he's home from work. And
why wasn't he ever
I don't
at
know.
Work?
And Nancy says, Amanda's going to bed. And again, it's kind of like it's just noon. I don't know why. And she says, I'm going to work. Yeah. And so Nancy leaves. And then the doorbell rings. And Steve goes, did you forget something, you cunt? Pretty much like that. But he opens the door and it's Amy. So Amy comes in and she's yelling at Steve like, why the hell did you punch Mike right in the dick when we were taking a walk in the woods? That was pretty mean.
Yeah. He's finally someone my age.
Yeah, this is an appropriate relationship for me where I'm not dating a
Right.
pedophile.
Yes.
And so Steve then goes, I just don't know why I love you. Nancy and I are through. We're getting a divorce. And Amy's like, no, you're not, you fuck. She's like, yeah, we are. She's going to leave and live with her sister. And so now we can be together. And Amy goes, oh, because that's all she ever wanted was to be with Steve. Oh, my God. You have a hot-ass boyfriend that can actually get a boner, and you want to be with this 40-year-old fuck?
But she just saw the 40-year-old semi beat up her boyfriend.
Oh, so Steve says, I'm going to marry you. We're going to be a real couple, even though there are no plans to divorce Nancy. Nancy is in no means moving out and moving in with her sister. He makes all this shit up. And Amy believes him. They go upstairs to pork. But of course, Steve forgets that Amanda, his daughter, is upstairs. So Amanda is watching Steve and Amy pork.
Oh, my God.
And sees the whole thing.
Scandalized.
Oh.
Because of her dumbass dad.
Yes.
It reminded me of when I threw the remote at the TV screen when Sally walked in on Don Draper. That part still pisses me off.
Oh, God.
But this was real life, so it was appalling.
So then we get another scene where Amanda is sitting with Mommy Nancy, and she says, how come Daddy and Amy kiss and pork? And so, of course, Nancy's like, well, fuck. And so she calls up Amy and says, how come you're fucking my husband?
Yeah, she's like...
And Amy says, oh, my God. He started it when I was 14.
And then she was going to lose her ever-living mind.
And Amy tells the whole thing. And Amy, you can't blame the child.
No.
I mean, she was groomed as a child.
But then just imagine knowing you've lived with your husband that long.
And he's
a pedophile.
Yes. I mean, she's wanting to throw up.
Yes.
She's horribly disgusted. I mean, she's so disgusted, and she's not even really mad at Amy because Amy's a child. So right away, Nancy calls over her friend Margaret, who we see telling the story throughout the show. Margaret comes right over. She spills this whole beans to Margaret. She says, when Steve gets home, he was supposed to get home from his current job he has as like some sort of...
Because is he not trucking anymore?
Yeah, he was like
something?
a packing sausage. I don't know. He was going to come home at 6 a.m. and she said she's going to tell him, get the fuck out of the house. And she was going to call the cops because you're a fucking pedophile.
Yeah.
And Margaret says, is that a good idea? Are you feel safe around him? Because he's kind of a fucking weirdo. And this is like, he could get violent. And Nancy says, no, I feel fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'll see you on the 4th of July. Because this was like July 1st. And then Margaret says, I didn't see her on the 4th of July. And that's where the next thing we see is Nancy goes missing.
Yeah.
So Steve reports his wife Nancy as missing. July 1st to July 2nd, Nancy goes missing. What could have happened?
You know, I was confused and I thought she probably just needed to take some time.
She done run off. So the cops...
Did anyone look where her mascara was?
Yeah. The cops come over. Steve says, well, I did get home at 6:30 a.m. And the cops go, uh-huh. And I noticed that my front door was open. The cops say, oh. And he says, well, I work nights. Amanda was still asleep in her room, but Nancy was gone. And they say, did it bother you that your daughter was home alone? He went, yes. Well, Okay. And so then they said, well, how come you took like a whole day to call us? And he said, I done heard on TV that you got to wait 24 hours before someone is declared missing.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, and I'm like, yeah, I guess. So the cops look all over the house, and there is no sign of foul play, there's no blood, there's nothing. There's just shit all nothing. No clues, anything. We get to 4th of July, 1996. She's still missing. There's no clues, no signs of her anywhere. She's not spending money anywhere, none of that stuff. But then a few months go by, and Steve has already given away all of her clothes. Mm-hmm. He's already gotten another roommate.
He did not even give two shits.
No, he doesn't help with any of the lost missing flyers.
He doesn't need a death certificate.
No.
He doesn't need nothing.
He doesn't even help at all with the missing case. So finally the cops talk to her friends, and that's when they learn that he's a fucking pedophile. And I'm not sure why the friends didn't say this day one. How come day one they didn't say he's been porking a child? Because the friends knew.
Yeah.
Why did months go by? I don't know. This is what I got to write a letter to my senator about it. Because I'm confused.
Came out after Nancy was gone,
yes,
right?
but it took months.
Then they found out about Amy?
Yes, but months. That's after the cops talked to the friends.
Did Amy tell?
No, the friends told. And then
but how did they know? Because I thought the only people who knew were Steve, Amy, and Nancy.
No, because she told Margaret.
Oh, Nancy did.
Yes.
Okay.
So then Steve is arrested for child porking. He gets 7 years in prison, but because the world is a shitbag poop toilet, he gets a suspended sentence, and he only serves 1 year.
12 months, ladies and gentlemen.
So he gets out, and it's December 1998. He's free of all his child porking charges. He served his time.
They show him walking down the street with his clear plastic bag from prison.
Yep, and he's doing bells with his feet, like kicking up, because he's just clear.
He's like, yay.
And he knows he's going to get away with killing Nancy because there's shit all evidence. There's nothing. There's no physical evidence. Anything there might be is circumstantial. No one knows where Nancy is. And no one's doing a goddamn thing. So then we see a scene where Nancy's dad calls up a cop and says, I'm dying. Can you please promise me you'll find Nancy and get her killer? And the cop says, yes, I promise you. Like a terrible thing to say, but what are you going to do? So then we get 2 years later. The cops finally decide, let's call in that Amy girl again that he was porking. So they call Amy in again, and they tell Amy, your only chance of trying to get Steve, who we know killed Nancy.
Yeah.
Can you please wear a wire? And Amy says, fuck you,
yeah,
no.
She's like, nope.
And they say, fuck you, Amy. Yes. You should help. And so she goes, all right, fine. So Amy wears a wire and goes into a car with Steve. And Steve right away tries to like
make out
kiss
with
her and pork her. And Amy's like, oh my God, stop. You are so gross. And she says, did you kill Nancy? And he goes, oh my God, no. Why would you think that? Oh my God, no. And Amy's like, well, you're a gross, gross pig. And I don't really want to do this with you, and you're super gross. And Steve says, well, I want to marry you. Here's a ring. And Amy says, oh my God, you are so gross. That's Nancy's ring.
It was Nancy's ring.
And Steve goes, well, when she comes back, then we'll get a divorce.
Yeah.
And we can make it official. Well, why would she give like ish?
He has her ring.
He has a ring off her finger. Like, ew. And Amy's like, nah. Like, I'm going to say a nah to all of it. All of it's a nah. It's just gross nah.
Right?
And she just knows, like, when he pulls out Nancy's ring that she is dead, and he pulled it off her dead finger. And so Amy calls the police the next day because she is just grossed out. And she says, I'm going to tell you the whole dang truth. This dumb bitch knew, but she was traumatized.
She was,
obviously.
and I'm actually
I feel bad
proud
for her.
of Amy
And
for
she-
actually doing this.
Yes.
And not just like going,
This
oh
is
my God, we're
horrifying.
getting married.
Horrifying.
Yeah, she was
Because
like, fuck him. He is
This
an abuser.
she went through the grossest
Yeah.
shit ever.
Yeah, so much trauma.
So Monday, July 1st of 2000. Well, no, it's actually they get to September 21st. She knows what happened that July 1st, but we don't find out till the end of the show. So September 21st, 2000, police go to Steve's house finally and say, Steve, you fucking asshole, we're arresting you for killing your wife. And Steve goes, I didn't do it. And they say, yes, you did, you total dickweed. So then Amy, during trial, tells her story. So Amy, when Nancy called her and said, are you having an affair with my husband? And Amy said, yes, but it started when I was 14. I didn't even know what the hell was going on. Amy calls Steve after that phone call, and they meet up in the middle of nowhere at 10:15 p.m. on July 1st. And Amy tells Steve that Nancy knows everything. And of course, Steve goes apeshit crazy. And Steve goes, don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of it. And so Steve drops Amy off at home, and Steve goes back home, and Amy sees him go into his house at 10:30 p.m. The cops know, well, that's when Nancy was alive at home. And so Steve obviously was one of the last people to see her alive at home at 10:30 p.m. Nancy was last known to be alive then. So also, when Steve was in jail for his child porking sentence, he was also telling people in jail that he also killed Nancy.
Of course, because he can't keep his stupid. I mean, he is a weirdo, narcissist,
freak,
idiot,
pedophile.
Yeah.
So what happened, I guess, according to Steve telling the perverts, is that he entered the house at 10:30, attacked Nancy, and Nancy was telling him, you're a fucking gross pig. You're disgusting. I hate you. Get out of the house. I'm going to call the cops.
Yeah, she was saying, like, you're a pedophile and
you're totally gross.
Yeah.
And Steve's like, don't tell the cops. And she's like, no, I'm going to call the cops. You're gross. Like, you abused Amy, and I don't want my daughter around you, and you're fucking gross. And Steve, what they assume is he just grabbed her and strangles her. And then put her in the car and brought her somewhere in the woods, and buried her. So Steve, during trial, is guilty. He gets life in prison. This is where we see the real Steve, and he is just gross and looks slimy and gross.
Yeah.
In 2007, 11 years after the murder,
11.
he finally tells police where Nancy is, and she's buried in the woods. They dig her up. That's where she was, where she can finally be, buried properly with her relatives, for fuck's sake.
And her poor daughter, in the meantime,
is without parents.
Yep.
And has to know her dad is a murdering pedophile.
It's so bad.
Oh, absolutely horrible.
Ugh.
Just men are very gross.
They are.
Why do you really have to do your 14-year-old nanny? Why?
I don't know. There's no excuse for that.
No.
He was a dumb, gross asshole. So that's that.
Ugh.
And he killed. At least he said where the body is. I hate when those fuckers don't tell, and then
that's the one.
The family just doesn't know
good
anything.
Thing that maybe it might get him parole eventually, but
Ew, I hope he never, ever, ever.
At least the family can have a body. Christ.
Right? So, again, thanks for listening. You can find us on Facebook. Do we have a Twitter? I don't know. We don't do that very much. Instagram, Facebook. You can join our Facebook group. It's called It's Always the Husband Podcast Group. And if you join that group, it's just funny memes and funny shit that we like, and pictures of the Harrington tattoo.
Or you can comment on the episode and such.
Yeah, you can tell us. I saw that we alarmed people with the lack of cleaning our sheets.
Our shits.
We definitely proved that we are dirtballs. Talking about the number of times we launder our sheets. The other thing that you can get involved with on our Facebook group is that we do have a book club. We meet once a month at the end of the month. We are meeting, if you're listening to this, we're meeting tonight. We are meeting Tuesday, the 25th of March at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you'll have to figure out, if you live far away, what time that is for you, because we
don't
are
know
too
how
dumb.
to do that.
So 7:30 Central Standard
time.
The Zoom link is already in Facebook.
It is.
So just search it up and find it. We'll meet on Zoom. We'll talk about the book Hidden Pictures.
Right.
Yes. I still have to finish it.
Oh my God.
I know I was slow. I'm over halfway through.
Oh my God.
I can finish it tonight and tomorrow.
You could.
Yeah. It goes fast. I like it. It's like a quick read. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there literally are pictures.
There are pictures in it.
Yeah. All right. I'm back.
They're pictures of nude male playing cards that I have right in front of me.
So if you're interested, give it a shot. Okay, bye.